open. There's nothing hovering outside. But if it happens live on Talk Sport, it will be quite a scoop.
Right, before we go to the calls, George, going back to what you were talking about before with the Wing Commander, a rather interesting email has come in from David. And David says his father fought the Israelis in Haifa in 1948 under intense attack from the guerrilla fighters, the Zionist gangs, street to street fighting with the Royal Marines, the Parachute Regiment, coming under extreme attack while trying to evacuate the Arab population from the murderous Zionists, is the way that David has put this, and says that people just seem to forget this piece of history.
Well, that's the fact that today's political class thinks that life began when Tony Blair was elected in 1997. That was the year zero. And some of the news reporters that I've come up against, most famously on the altercation on Sky News, which nearly 1 million people have watched on just one website in England, and you can see that on georgegalloway.com. It's clear that they think that the clock started 4 or 5 weeks ago, not knowing apparently that the conflict that we're discussing here tonight, James, goes right back to the days that the Wing Commander and David's father were talking about. Now, Haifa, which has come up tonight, was once a wholly Arab city, and now it's 6% Arab. Where did the other 94% go? Well, most of them are living as refugees in the very Jenin refugee camp that one of our callers earlier, David, was so dismissive about. They can actually see Haifa from the roofs of their own refugee camp. So they can see their own houses, their own gardens that are being lived in by people from London or New York.
All right, a lot of emails like this one from Brett, who accused me of not giving you a hard time. It's not my place to give you a hard time. This is your program, George, not mine. But apparently want to hear you answer the accusation put before you that Hizbullah are really a bunch of terrorists and they shouldn't just be allowed to get off as lightly as apparently I'm allowing you to let them off tonight. Now, let me just make one point, if you don't mind, George. I heard Al-Qaeda try to align themselves with Hizbullah some months ago. Hizbullah spokesman came out and said they didn't want to have anything to do with the murdering terrorists of Al-Qaeda. It gets slightly confusing.
That's a very significant point, James, and I'm glad that you brought that up. First of all, the Hizbullah are a Shiite Muslim organization, and the Al-Qaeda fanatics don't even consider Shiites to be proper Muslims. In fact, they call them heretics. And some of the attacks, some of them, on Shiite targets, mosques and worshippers in Iraq have been mounted by Al-Qaeda in Iraq. Secondly, Hizbullah is a purely national resistance. It doesn't fight anywhere else except its own country, and it doesn't fight anyone else except the country which occupies a part of its country, namely Israel. They're in no sense an international terrorist organization. If you want to be brutally frank, they should be compared with the Zionist organizations that the Wing Commander was talking about. What you can't do is say that the people who blew up the King David Hotel, who hanged the British sergeants in an orchard, who committed the atrocities in Haifa that we've just been hearing about in the email from David, drawing on the experience of his father, you can't say that's resistance, but Hizbullah are terrorists. This is turning the meaning of the English language inside out.
Okay, let's take some calls now. This is John from Manchester. John, you're on the air, through to the mother of all talk show hosts, George Galloway.
Congratulations. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, how are you, George? Congratulations.
Thank you, my friend.
Yeah, I want to congratulate the Hezbollah also for acting with human kindness. You see, to the people of Lebanon. And they are very great people, because America, our great America with democracy, could not help its people during the Katrina crisis. You remember?
Indeed, I made that point, John, that I was contrasting the total calm in the center of Beirut and, from what I've heard, the south of Lebanon, the building, the salvaging, the distribution of food, the distribution of shelter, the complete absence of any looting, the absence of any need for security forces opening fire on people making hay while the others suffered, stealing other people's things and so on. I was comparing and contrasting that to the record of the Bush administration in the natural disaster in New Orleans.
The BBC now, it seems because of your visit to Lebanon, they've changed their mind and now they've decided to start showing you on BBC.
Oh, well, I'm glad to hear that, but the most discerning listeners are on Talk Sport. Because here, for 2 hours on a Saturday and Sunday, I get to have my say, and I let other people have their say. Thanks very much, John, for that call.